Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing very well. So in today's video I'm going to be showing you how to make this really cute and easy butterfly drawstring pouch. This is perfect for storing small items such as AirPods or even jewellery. So let's get into the tutorial. So for this project you're going to need your main colour. I'm going to be using this cream double knit yarn. I've got about 50 grams of this, but you probably would only need about 20 grams. And then you're going to need a secondary colour, and this is going to be the colour of the butterfly. So I'm going to be using blue. And then you're going to be needing a third colour, and this is going to be for the ribbon around the drawstring. I'm going to be using this pale yellow, and I've literally only got like a scrap piece of this, so you don't need a lot. I'm going to be using a 2.5mm hook, some scissors, a stitch marker, and then you might also need a sewing needle to weave in any ends. And then this is completely optional, but I just liked to add a little pearl to the centre of the butterfly, so I've just got this pearl bead and some embroidery thread. So you're going to need like a bead, embroidery thread that matches your main colour yarn, and then you're also going to need some sort of embroidery needle. So we're going to be starting with the main pouch bag. So you're going to want to take your main colour, so this is the cream yarn, and make a slip knot. And then you're going to want to take your hook and you're going to want to make a chain. You can make this chain as long as you want, but for a small pouch I like to chain about 15. But again, if you want a very large pouch you can chain more than that. If you want it smaller you can also chain less. So I'm going to make a chain of 15. 1, Once you have your chain, you're just going to want to flip your chain over so that you can work in these back bumps going across the back of the chain. And you're going to want to make 2 single crochets into that second back bump. So that is going to be the back bump behind the second chain from the hook. So here's the first chain, here's the second chain, and you're going to want to flip the chain over and make 2 single crochets into that back bump right there. So that's 1. And that's 2. You're then going to want to place your stitch marker into that first single crochet, and this is going to be marking the end of the round, like that. Okay, so we're now going to be making 1 single crochet into each back bump all the way across, and then into that last back bump I will be making another 2 single crochets. So I'm going to insert my hook into the next back bump and make a single crochet, and then into the next back bump, single crochet, and I'm going into each back bump across making single crochets, and then in that last one I will be making 2 single crochets. Okay, so I'm going to make my last 2 single crochets into that last back bump. So that's 1, that's 2. So you should have something like this in your row, and we're now going to be tilting the work around, so we're going to be working on the opposite side of the row. So I'm going to tilt my work around like this, so your stitch marker should now be at the opposite side that it was. And now we're going to be going into our next stitch of the opposite side. So we've already made our 2 single crochets into this stitch, so I'm going into the next stitch right here and picking up that stitch, and I'm going to make a single crochet. I'm going to also loop in this end so that I can crochet it in, or you can leave it out and weave it in later on. I'm going to just make a single crochet like that, and then I'm just going to make 1 single crochet into each stitch on the opposite side until I reach the stitch marker. Okay, so I've just done my last single crochet, and now I'm going to finish the round by making a slip stitch into that stitch where the stitch marker is. So I'm just going to take it out and I'm going to make my slip stitch into that stitch, yarn over and pull through, and then pull through the first loop through the second, like that. Okay, and then we're going to be placing the stitch marker back into that spot, like that. Now, depending on your preference, if you are still very much a beginner, you can just do single crochets. You don't have to do the waistcoat stitch that I'm going to do, but if you like the look of the waistcoat stitch, it's kind of this like nice knit effect, then that's what I'm going to be showing in this video. Again, if you don't particularly like it, if you don't get on with it, then just feel free to use a normal single crochet. So for my next round, I'm going to chain 1, and this is going to be the start of every single round. We're going to start with a chain 1. And we're going to be inserting the hook through each single crochet post. So you'll notice that each single crochet has these sort of separate V's, and we're going to be pushing the hook through the kind of legs of those V's. Again, if you want to just do single crochets, you'll just be going through the top V stitch as normal, and you'll be starting in the same place that you just made that chain 1, so you're going through that top V there. If you are doing the waistcoat stitch though, like me, you're going to want to push your hook through that first 2V shape, and it might be a bit fiddly for the first round, but you just want to push your hook through, and you might need to kind of split the stitch open so that you're actually pushing it through the right place. Okay, like that, and then you just make your single crochet as normal, like that. And then I'm going to go into the next single crochet post, so I'm inserting my hook into that next V and pushing it through the back like that. So it's not going through that top V, it's going actually through the center of the stitch. Make a single crochet, and then I'm going into the next single crochet post, pushing the hook through, making a single crochet as normal. And I'm going to be doing that into every single stitch all the way around. So there's no increases, and again, if you're doing the single crochet, just make one single crochet into each stitch. Okay, so I've just done all of my single crochets, and now I've reached the stitch marker, which is the next stitch. So I'm just going to take that out, and so this is going to be the slip stitch. The next sort of V stitch is the chain 1, and then the following stitch is the actual stitch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slip stitch into the post of that first stitch of the round, so the one right after that chain 1. So I'm skipping the slip stitch, skipping the chain 1, and I'm going to push my hook through the post of that first waistcoat stitch that we made, like that. And then I'm going to make a slip stitch in this space. So yarn over and pull through, and then pull through, like that. And then I'm going to place my stitch marker back in this spot, so that top V, like that. So for round 2, it's simply the exact same thing. I'm just going to chain 1, and I'm going to make 1 single crochet into each post. So I'm going to be doing the waistcoat stitch again. So I'm going to insert my hook into that same waistcoat post of the previous row, so the same one we slip stitched into, to do my first single crochet, like that. And then I'm going to go into my next post of the next stitch and make a single crochet, and then the next post of the next stitch, single crochet, and I'm just repeating that all the way around. Okay, so I've just finished my last waistcoat stitch and I've reached the stitch marker. So again, you're going to want to take out the stitch marker. You're going to skip that stitch marker stitch. You're going to skip the chain 1, and you're going to make a slip stitch into the post of that first V, so that first waistcoat stitch of the previous round. So I'm pushing my hook through that post, and then I'm making my slip stitch like that. And then I'm going to place my stitch marker back in that place, like that. So now I'm going to be repeating exactly what I did for this round, so chaining 1, making a waistcoat stitch in the same post, and then I'm going to make waistcoat stitches all the way around, and then I'm going to slip stitch into the first waistcoat stitch that we made, so skipping this stitch, skipping the chain 1, and then slip stitching into the first waistcoat stitch. Again, if you are doing single crochets, you are just going to be slip stitching into the first single crochet of each round, and you're going to want to do this for as many rounds as you want to, so however high you want the pouch to be, and I will let you know how many rows / rounds I end up doing, but I'm just going to complete the rest of the pouch now off camera, and then I'm going to come back and show you how to do the frills. Okay, so I've just finished my final row. I did 20 rows in total, and then I've just slip stitched back into that first waistcoat stitch through the post to finish the round. Now I'm going to show you how we do this kind of mesh row for the ribbon to be weaved through. So you're just going to want to continue on from where you slip stitch, so you just want to start your next row by chaining 1, and then you want to make a single crochet, not through the post but through the actual top V, so just like a normal single crochet, and then we're going to chain 1, we're going to skip the next stitch, and we're going to make a single crochet into the next stitch, so I'm going into that top V, not through the post, making a single crochet, and then I'm going to chain 1 again, skip the next stitch and make a single crochet into that top V of the next stitch. And you're just going to want to repeat that all the way around, so chain 1, skip a stitch and single crochet into the next stitch. And I'm just going to do that now all the way around. Okay, so once you have done your last chain 1, so you've done your single crochet, chain 1, you're going to want to skip the next stitch and then skip the slip stitch and the chain 1 and make a slip stitch into that first single crochet that we made. Like that. And now we're going to be working on the frills. So we're going to start off by chaining 1, and we're going to make a single crochet, 2 half double crochets and a slip stitch in the same stitch. So single crochet, and then a half double crochet, another half double crochet, and a slip stitch in the same stitch. And then you're going to want to single crochet into the next stitch, and then we're going to repeat that pattern all the way around. So we're going to single crochet into our next stitch, 2 half double crochets in the same stitch, and to finish a slip stitch in the same stitch, and then single crochet into the next stitch, and then repeat the pattern again. So single crochet into the next stitch, 2 half double crochets in the same stitch, and a slip stitch in the same stitch, and then single crochet into the next. So you're going to want to repeat that pattern all the way around, and you should have these bumps forming. So once you have finished your last stitch, you're just going to want to kind of slip stitch back into that first single crochet that we made of the round. So just separate the yarn and find that first single crochet and make a slip stitch like that, and then you're going to want to just chain 1 and fasten off, so cut the yarn. You don't need to cut a long tail, just a small bit, then pull it through and then tighten it, and then you can just weave the tail onto the inside of the work. Okay, so I'm now going to work on the butterfly. So you're going to want to take your butterfly colour, I'm using blue, and you're just going to want to make a slip knot. And then you want to chain 3. 1, 2 and 3, like that. Then you want to make a slip stitch into the 3rd chain, so 1, 2, 3, so it's this last one here. Make a slip stitch into that chain, like that. And then you just kind of want to separate the ring until you see this small hole in the middle, and that's what we are crocheting into, so this hole right here in the middle. So I'm going to start off by chaining 3, 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to make a slip stitch into the 2nd chain from the hook, like that, and I'm going to make 2 half double crochets into that 3rd chain. So that's 1, that's 2, and then I'm going to make a single crochet into the ring. So remember, when you separate the ring, find that hole, and you're going to want to insert your hook into that hole and make a single crochet, like that. And then we're going to chain 2, 1, 2. We're going to make 2 half double crochets into the 2nd chain from the hook. 1 and 2. And then we're going to make a single crochet into the ring. Make sure that you are crocheting over this tail here. Make a single crochet into the ring, like that. And then we're going to repeat that one more time, so chain 2. Make 2 half double crochets into the 2nd chain. 1 and 2. And then we're going to make a single crochet into the ring, crocheting over this tail as well. Single crochet, like that. And then lastly we're going to make another chain 3, so chain 3 this time. 1, 2, 3. We're going to turn the work around, so we're actually going to flip the work, so now we're working on the back of the chain. We're going to make a slip stitch into the 2nd chain from the hook. So can you see right here, I'm working now along the back of the chain, but I'm still grabbing that top loop. Make a slip stitch into that 2nd chain, and then I'm going to make 2 half double crochets into the 3rd chain. So again, still grabbing that top chain, 2 half double crochets, 1 and 2, like that. And then we're going to be making a slip stitch into the ring, but from this angle. So we're technically working on the back of the work. You just want to insert your hook into the ring, like that, and then make a slip stitch. So yarn over, and then pull through, and then pull the first loop through the 2nd. And this is intentional because this allows the top butterfly wing to match or mirror the opposite one. If you don't turn the work, you'll have 2 wings kind of curving in the same direction, and then obviously it doesn't look like a butterfly. So when you flip it back, as you can see, the wings kind of match each other, curving inward. And then you just want to pull a loop through like this and cut the yarn. So you just pull a longer loop through, long enough that you can sew as well. And then you want to pull on the short tail to close that ring up. And don't worry if it doesn't close all the way, because we can use this longer string to cover that hole if it doesn't close all the way. So again, if the hole doesn't close, that's fine, you can still just cut the short piece. Like that. And then with your sewing needle, you can just close the hole up with just kind of by sewing through it. Okay, so this is what your butterfly should be looking like. Now if you want to sew the pearl on, you can do that now. So you essentially just want to sew the pearl into the middle of the butterfly, kind of where we close that hole, so that we can cover it even more. And you just want to do that with embroidery thread and a needle. And I personally kind of like to do it 2 in 1, so I'm sewing the pearl onto the butterfly, and then using the same embroidery thread, I just like to sew it to the centre of the pouch. So I'm going to sew the pearl on first, and then once the pearl is sewn on, I'm not going to cut the embroidery thread, I'm just going to sew it directly to the centre of the pouch, and that way it's nice and seamless. Okay, so once you have sewn the butterfly on, the final step is to make the ribbon. So I'm going to be using yellow, and you're just going to want to make a slip knot. And then you want to make a chain, and you can make this however long you want. I'm going to be making a chain of 70 because I feel like this fits well for this size. Obviously if you have a bigger pouch then you might need a longer chain, and if you have a smaller pouch you might need a smaller chain. So once you have made your chain, you're just going to want to take the chain off of the hook, and then you can just cut the yarn. So just cut the tail like that, and then you can just pull the slip knot through and it will create a knot like that. And then you're just going to want to weave the tail around the pouch where we made that mesh stitch where the holes are. So I like to kind of leave a gap in the middle and then have the tails going down either side. Okay, so this is what it should look like once you have weaved the ribbon around, and you just want to make sure that both of the tails are now at the front. And then if you want to, you can just trim the ends off, and then you simply just pull on the ribbon to close the pouch. That is the pouch all complete. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please consider subscribing and giving this video a thumbs up, and let me know what tutorials you want to see me make next, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye guys!